Well, hi guys, this is Jason Cadwell with Cadwell Realty Group, and I'm kind of have a special treat for you today. I get to interview one of our newest agents, Noelle Phillips, and she literally just came on board with us this last week. But what I wanted to share is kind of her success, recent success story of how she got started in her real estate school and got things done very quickly. And so I kind of wanted you guys to hear from her of what her story is and how things went. So Noelle, thank you for taking the time to let me talk to you for a minute.
Of course, thank you.
So tell me, and tell everybody watching this. So again, the people mainly watching this are people that are thinking about getting into real estate, or they're currently in real estate school, taking things mostly online right now. And so kind of tell me what made you want to get into real estate, and maybe a little bit of your background, and then talk about the dates when we first chatted and then you started real estate school and then finally got past your test.
Sure. Yeah. So I've mostly been in the dental field. I've been in the dental field for the past 20 plus years and have been in management with dental. I left dental in October and started looking at kind of what I wanted to do next. And in January, I met with Jason and talked about opportunities in real estate. I'd had an interest in real estate for a long time. Really wanted something that was going to be that I could control my own earnings, that was a direct reflection on how hard I worked and would put in the time and effort, provide some flexibility with my family and be able to kind of set my own schedule and still work hard to support my family. Met with Jason on January 3rd and really decided that that's the direction that I wanted to go. Felt very positive about that. Signed up for CE Shop that same day and started courses the next day. Really with the goal of finishing in 1 month, that I really wanted to treat this like a full-time job, get done in 1 month. And I was able to do that. And really had to break it down into smaller goals from there. That it's 150 course hours, and so had to break down what that was going to mean on a per week basis and a per day basis, and treat it like a full-time job, which I had the flexibility of doing because I wasn't working another full-time job. So I was able to do that.
Sure.
And had to treat it like that really my family knew I was going to be studying and doing coursework 8 to 10 hours a day, and that was a priority. And had to change some things along the way. That the first few days I was really motivated and super excited and engaged, and so it was easy to spend 8 hours in front of a computer. Really by day 3, it was hard to stay engaged for 8 hours, and so had to break it down into study for a couple hours, go get coffee, study for a couple more hours, take lunch, go for a walk, study for a couple more hours, run errands, do some smaller chunks. And that worked well for me to be able to do. And then the CE Shop is the only one that I'm familiar with, but the CE Shop was great in having that progress meter that's on the screen all the time. So I knew, if I needed to get done 25% of a course in a day, I could always see what my progress was and be able to tell, okay, I'm on track. I'm ready to be able to be done for today and start again tomorrow. Or maybe I didn't get done everything I needed to get done Monday through Friday. And so now I need to do some Saturday and Sunday as well.
Sure. So you basically, I love that where you chunked it down, right? And I think that's what happens a lot. I hear a lot of people give me that feedback also, that I think, like you said, everybody's like that. Your first few days, you're like gung ho, let's go, let's get this. And with the idea, you got to remember that it is a marathon and not a sprint. But
Right.
like anything, we all sprint out of the gate. You're like, oh my gosh. And I think the biggest thing, from what you just mentioned to the people listening is remember that it's okay to feel overwhelmed for a minute,
Mhm.
and you have to say, okay, I understand what's going on. I don't, but instead of just quitting, which you had that option, right? Because sometimes people go, oh my gosh, this is just crazy. You were able to back off and, like you said, chunk it down into your lifestyle, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So you, again, you had a goal from the beginning. You started on January 3rd. And when did you take your test?
February 3rd. So
February 3rd.
exactly 1 month.
Yep. So you hit your goal of trying to get that done, and you were able to pass the test the first time.
Yes.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank
So
you.
did you, during the coursework, was there anything that you were doing, whether it's note taking, whether it's some type of studying program, or I know every system, again, CE Shop has them too, but like a test prep type thing. Did you do any of that?
Sure. So throughout the course with the CE shop, then I was printing out the study pages and making notes along the way. So I have a binder set up that looks very much like a textbook now that
Sure.
has notes and has the study sheets. And then when I was making my plan for when I needed to get done, then I knew I built in that I needed some time to be able to study before taking my actual test. So I gave myself 5 days to be able to study and go back through those study guides. And then with the CE shop, then it does have the prep edge for the be able to study and take practice exams, and just same thing, did that several hours a day until I felt very comfortable with that. There were some things that were not that were on the actual licensing exam that weren't in there, but I felt like I had a good enough handle from doing all of the practice exams that I was able to pass.
Yeah, yeah, awesome, awesome. So one of the things as part of this also, you have to do a background check as
Mhm.
part of it. And what we've had is a lot of people wait till the very end until they take the test, and then they'll go get the background check, because that can be a 2, 3 week period, especially right now as we're doing this video, we're still in COVID time. So how long did that take, and what point did you jump into that and get that going?
Sure. So I had read early on through looking up the information with PSI testing that they were saying that it would take 2 to 4 weeks to get the background check completed after getting fingerprinted. And all the information says you can do that at the same time as taking the test, but that clearly then means that you have to then wait 2 to 4 weeks after taking your test to get licensed. So it does give you the option of going in early and doing that. So I did go in a couple of weeks early to get the fingerprints completed. I went on to, Oregon Real Estate Agency website to get signed up for the e-license early on in the process as well. So both of those things really, if you're going to try to get done in a month, then trying to get signed up and fingerprinted in the first week or 2 weeks is important, because I know for me that would have been frustrating to have to wait another month after
Yeah.
passing to then get everything finalized.
Well, that's awesome, and that's what I've encouraged people to do too. And I think sometimes they feel like it's so overwhelming that there's just a lot going on. And so, and I again, back to what you were talking about before, and some other things and videos that people will see that of tips is basically chunk this down. You know, do something every single day, whatever it is, whether it's you got to get your background check done. Get that in, at least get that in the process early on, so that way it's done and it's running parallel with your testing or your schooling, and that way that is done. Because you're right, the goal of this is, no matter what um, place you're at in life, to be able to hit the ground running with the knowledge that you've already had. You're in that mode of being in real estate, most likely, and most people are in some sort of, you know, whether you're coming out of another career or you're still in your career and you're doing this as well, right? You're in that, two job type thing mindset,
Yeah.
and you being a mom and wife and everything else, you're having to run household and do all the things, so you're still doing it. And that's why I love moms in this business, because they are killer at doing the multitasking and being able to chunk down their time, because that's what you had to do,
Yeah.
right? And so no, I love that. So what what I mean, why, I wonder why. There's a lot of people who take 6 months to do this.
Mhm.
I have people who get it done obviously as fast as you do, but not very often. So you are more of that anomaly. And I do want people to understand that just because you don't get it done in a month doesn't mean you're any lesser of a person. But what this whole video is about is I want people to understand that it's possible and that you can get in and get going and do this quickly. But what would you tell someone, just going through this process? Is there anything that you would do differently, or what would you tell somebody who's struggling to kind of get through it?
Sure. So I think that, I mean, what worked well for me was, again, really to treat this like a full-time job. And we don't go into our full-time job just when we want to or when we feel like it. We do that even if there are other things going on in our lives, and it's not a great day or something. So I think to be mindful of, this is your job, and whether that is a month or 6 months or whatever time frame you've given to yourself, then to be able to really set those goals and stick with it. Another thing that for me worked was I shared with both my husband and my sister what my goal was. And so felt like there was some accountability in there as well, that, each evening my husband was like, "How are you doing? How's it going?" And, my sister would call me throughout the week and like, "Where are you at this week?" And so sharing that, and not that they would have been disappointed or anything
Yeah.
would have been wrong if I hadn't stuck with it. But by sharing those, then it did give some sense of accountability and some also accolades for when I was sticking with it, for some other people to say, "Great job, you're doing well." So I think having that is important.
That is huge, and that's what I really talk about. I have a lot of one-on-one calls with people, and we talk a lot about their home support system,
Mhm.
because doing this business, whether it's a transition from one career to another, you better have a great support system at home that, like you said, gives you maybe an accountability, gives you a push, but
Mm.
also, I'm going to say, gives you permission, which is super important in this business, is because this can be weird. I mean, today I know you're just literally getting started. So
Yeah.
what's going to happen? People are going to see your journey from the beginning. But like today, you went and shadowed someone at an open house. This is a weekend, by the way, who for everybody's watching this, and so you were already out on a weekend, which could have been doing stuff with the family or whatever. That's you're shadowing people, you're doing open houses, and that's the norm about this business. So getting your family on board and your support system on board is a huge thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
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 definitely. Yeah, and I mean, along those same lines, that had the permission and support of, there were hours during the day I wasn't answering calls. I wasn't available to go run errands for my kids or whatever, because again, studying was my job during that time.
yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, I can't say how more proud of you I am, that's for sure. And you coming to join us, and I just excited to see what happens with you in the future. I do appreciate you taking the time to talk here, and to allow me to share this with others so that they can see what's possible, and know that people in a variety of different circumstances can get this done. And so again, I just want to say thank you for taking that time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Talk to you soon.
All right.